I'm Chris Lawrence with your top stories in North Texas. FBI agents are digging through the yard outside the home where Noel Rodriguez Alvarez and his family once lived. Brittany Costello explains what we know so far.
Tents and tarps are moving as investigators dig up dirt in the backyard of a home on Wisteria Drive in Everman. FBI agents are looking for 6-year-old Noel Rodriguez Alvarez more than 3 years after he was reported missing. Attorney and former prosecutor Jennifer Falk is certain there's a reason investigators returned to the property his family used to live.
Where there's smoke, there's fire. All of my spidey senses say, yes, there is something. That's why they're digging.
That's what Amber Duffins thinks too.
They blocked out our windows so we won't be able to look out in the back.
Duffins lives at the property now and says investigators have been back on other occasions leading up to this search.
Of course, we will want them to find what they need to find. So we wouldn't stop them from looking.
Noel was last seen in October of 2022. Investigators believe the special needs boy is dead. His mother, Cindy Rodriguez Singh, fled to India with her other children and husband. She is now charged with capital murder. Last month, she was found incompetent to stand trial.
Having any murder case, but especially a capital murder case where no body has been recovered, is a rarity across the nation.
Former Dallas Police Commander Sally Lannon says these types of searches are intensive.
You're looking for a child, which means the evidence can be smaller. So you have to be more meticulous and more detailed in how you search for that child.
Many people in Everman are hoping for closure.
Part of me doesn't want a baby to be back there, and part of me does, just so he can have the closure and everybody who's been following this case since it first happened.
In Everman, I'm Brittany Costello.
The Johnson County Sheriff's Department has terminated a chief deputy who no longer has his badge and gun. Scoop Jefferson spoke with his attorney, who says it's connected to the criminal investigation in civil cases against Sheriff Adam King.
This is the letter the sheriff sent his chief this week explaining why he's firing him. The two scheduled to battle it out in court here in Johnson County in just a few days.
James Salter just lost his job as chief deputy at the Johnson County Sheriff's Office. His attorney Christopher Cook sharing the emotional impact.
I think he is more worried at this point about how he's going to put food on the table for his family.
Cook received this termination letter from Sheriff Adam King on May 12, saying Salter failed to show up for a required internal affairs interview scheduled for 10 a.m. on May 12th.
What the public doesn't know is that the internal affairs investigation was being run by a friend of the sheriff, someone who he has on his defense team in his criminal case.
James Salter is scheduled to testify against the sheriff, indicted on 2 felony counts of retaliation against a witness, abuse of office related to sexual harassment claims, misdemeanors. WFAA reached out repeatedly to Sheriff King and his attorney Bill Mason, but no response. After a hearing this past March, Mason said this defending his client.
I've known Adam King since the 1990s.
Right now, King is working a court-ordered hybrid schedule, still in charge at the sheriff's office.
He's been allowed to be around his victims.
Cook says Salter turned in his department-issued property,
His gun, his badge,
and hopes to land another job as they prepare to face the sheriff in court later this month. In Johnson County, I'm Scoop Jefferson.
We now know where the Texas Stock Exchange plans to set up operations in the uptown area of Dallas. According to our partners at the Dallas Business Journal, it'll move into the Bank of America Parkside Tower when renovations are complete. The building will feature a live stock ticker when trading launches in July. It's just one part of the larger Y'all Street movement in North Texas. We're about a month out from the start of the World Cup, and even soccer superfans think ticket prices are way too high. Some buyers told Cole Sullivan FIFA failed to deliver what they expected.
In every game played at AT&T Stadium, there are winners and losers. But the World Cup hasn't even started, and Dennis McGowan already feels like the latter.
I feel like we got scammed.
The FC Dallas fan paid as part of a FIFA lottery, $350 a pop for Tier 2 seats, billed as the second best set in the house. But the tickets he got are in Section 408.
Really, essentially, watch it on the big screen at Jerry World tickets.
Then there's the cost. Many tickets in Dallas are now going for over $1,000.
It's disheartening. Soccer is about the fans.
And even super fans, like this England supporter who's been to 9 World Cups, say the prices are astronomical.
Well, this year compared with all others is just crazy. The ticket price here at this tournament is it's beyond belief.
Andy Milne told us he sold an investment property, a house, to pay his way to the game here.
And good on him for that, but it's just not everybody has that available, right?
The outrage has reached Washington. 2 congressmen now demand FIFA's president account for dynamic pricing ripoffs and misleading seat maps. In a statement, FIFA reminds us it offered some early match tickets for $60, quote, a very competitive price point for a major global sporting event in the U.S. And it says seat maps, quote, were designed to provide guidance rather than exact seat layout.
And we're at the point where we're running out of fans that are able to access us.
He's worried an event meant to bring the world together, only a few can afford to see. In Dallas, I'm Cole Sullivan.
A mother ended up fighting for her life and her newborn rushed into intensive care on what should have been a cause for celebration. Kevin Reese has their emotional story of sacrifice and faith.
We will start with the photograph.
It was a very challenging day for me.
Of a tiny newborn hand.
You wouldn't believe it, man.
The boy, the Solano family from Louisville, had not yet given a name.
It was, it was very, very scary.
Because Michael Solano's son was rushed to neonatal intensive care, and his wife, Melissa,
laying on the operating table, dying. The only thing I could start doing was praying.
Prayers that apparently worked.
I don't remember being scared or worried.
Melissa made it, although when it came to her son,
I do remember thinking that this might be it.
There were doubts.
And for some reason I thought him and I were going to go together, but I felt at peace with that.
And at true peace now, because Max made it too.
Thank God that our prayers were answered.
But their miracle is not that simple. Max was born with a liver disease, gall, gestational autoimmune liver disease. It is usually fatal. A transplant, his only hope. But it had never been done on someone so young and so small.
It's an unusual disease that someone gets, and then it's also unusual to have patients be stable enough that you can take care of them and transplant.
But at Texas Children's in Houston, that's what they did on his 31st day of life, giving Max the liver of another 8-month-old child, whose family in their own time of crisis made that difficult choice.
Especially as a brand new mom, that's really, really hard to hear because you know that means tragedy on the other end. I couldn't pray for tragedy for someone else. So I just kept praying that God would save our baby.
The Solanos have written a letter to that family. They hope to meet them someday. Show them.
It's amazing to just see him smile.
The miracle, their gift made possible.
He's a very happy baby despite everything he's been through, and he's just such a blessing in our lives.
Now home and healthy.
This is his whole team. They all signed it.
Max has the liver pillow the medical team also gave him.
Italy, Spain.
A map where people worldwide prayed for his recovery.
And it kind of makes the world seem so much smaller.
And the story of how he got his name.
My name is Maximus Decimus Meridius.
His dad loves the Gladiator movie. And then there was the eye protection for that bilirubin therapy in the hospital.
And on the very front of that, really big, it said Max. And she's like,
it's a sign.
So this survivor with a doting grandmother, too, is Maximo Roman Solano.
A strong name for a strong boy. See, I'm a very strong boy.
Very strong.
The strongest boy you ever know.
So
a strong boy alive because of a donation from an equally strong donor family.
We thank God for the donor and their family every single day. Organ donation saves lives. Oh, no.
Another laugh from Maximo is all the proof you need of that.
And we're just so thankful every day.
In Dallas, I'm Kevin Reese.
Yeah, being an organ donor can be such an incredible blessing. And those are your headlines from North Texas.
I'm Mark Mullins in Austin. Lawyers for families suing Camp Mystic were back in a Travis County courtroom on Wednesday. They have filed wrongful death lawsuits against the camp, accusing leaders of failing to protect their daughters. 25 campers, 2 counselors, and the camp director died during flash flooding last July. Attorneys were supposed to talk about a push to make those proceedings private, but as KVU's Daniel Perot shows us, Wednesday's hearing did not go as planned.
This was supposed to be Cam Mystic's time to make their case for their motion to compel arbitration, which would take these proceedings from the courtroom behind me to behind closed doors and out of the public eye. But late last night, Cam Mystic's lawyers withdrew their motions and filed new motions, which the judge said seemed to be nearly identical to the previous ones. Judge Maya Guerra-Gamble was clearly not happy about how this all went down. Attorneys for both the families and Cam Mystic said they were happy to discuss the amended motion today, but Judge Guerra-Gamble decided against that. It did not go unnoticed that Cam Mystic's lead attorney, Michael Watts, was out of the country and not in the courtroom.
I mean, a motion is just a motion. What I don't like is the last second notice. I especially don't like it when I think I know what's going on, because I'm getting emails talking about Spurs games and weddings in Italy, so I don't love that.
Lawyers for the families of campers and counselors said they want to recoup legal fees for showing up today, and said the last-minute trickery to delay the whole process was not fair to the many family members who made the trip to Austin for the proceedings.
They are doing everything they can to actually keep it from a jury, and that's what we're here about today, is to make sure a jury gets to hear this evidence, and they, at the last minute last night, tried to prevent that as well.
Lawyers for the families say this case should not go to arbitration. They believe these proceedings should be out in the open so everyone can learn about what happened on the night these girls died and ensure it never happens again. Cam Mystic has abandoned its plans to reopen for this summer, but this legal battle is just getting started. They're moving forward with depositions and discovery. The lawyers will be back in court again on June 10th. Cam Mystic wants the judge to take up the new arbitration motion then. She did not say whether she will. In Austin, Daniel Perot, KV News.
A legal battle over a Texas immigration law is now in the hands of a federal judge here in Austin. On Wednesday, that judge heard arguments in a lawsuit challenging parts of Senate Bill 4 from going into effect this Friday. The law was passed back in 2023. It allows police to arrest people suspected of illegally entering the country. It also allows judges to order a person's removal to their home country instead of going through the federal immigration system. The city of Taylor is officially under the leadership of a new mayor. Voters elected Jim Bazan on May 2nd. This week, the city canvassed the votes, making the election results official so that he could be sworn in. This is a big change from how Taylor used to decide who would be mayor. Previously, the city council selected the mayor from among its members. But in 2024, the city charter changed, so voters decide who will be mayor. Mayor Bazan's term runs through May of 2029. Members of the Texas Ethics Commission met on Wednesday to discuss social media companies paying users to watch political ads. They did not specify which social media company was asking, but they did determine the practice is not illegal. Commissioners approved an opinion stating that cash rewards for viewing content or taking surveys do not count as voter bribery as long as the payment isn't tied to how a person actually votes. An attorney for the commission explained the reasoning.
The users of the requester would be compensated for interacting with advertising content, and it would not be based on a particular vote agreed to by the voter. Therefore, we don't believe that this compensation would constitute bribery.
Commissioners noted while the payments are legal, the ads still need to have standard political disclaimers. Central Texas colleges are celebrating record-breaking graduations this week. More than 3,700 Austin Community College students will get their diplomas. It's a 12% increase in spring graduates from last year. And because the graduating class is so big, for the first time, ACC will hold 2 graduation ceremonies. They'll happen at 3 and at 7 p.m. Thursday at the HEB Center in Cedar Park. Texas State University is also celebrating its largest number of degree candidates in university history. More than 5,200 Bobcats will graduate over the next few days. And university leaders expect Texas State to keep growing its student population. Next school year, they're on track to welcome their largest ever freshman class for the 6th year in a row. The Greater Austin YMCA just received a $15 million donation from the Schmetterling Foundation. The foundation originally donated $3 million, which was used to build the YMCA Tomorrow Academy on FM 620 in Northwest Austin. That facility is already open and serving kids ages 6 weeks to 5 years old. The additional $15 million will be used to build a YMCA campus nearby named the Schmetterling YMCA. It will have a community center, pools, and a youth space. It's expected to open in late 2028. If you're a movie fan, this might surprise you. Some of the first cowboy movies ever were made just about 70 miles away from Austin, in San Antonio and the Hill Country, more than a century ago, and a few still survive today. KVU's Bob Buckaloo has this story.
You're seeing a fascinating piece of movie history, one of several action movies about the Old West that were produced not in Hollywood, but in and around San Antonio. Star Film Ranch would crank out as many as 3 15-minute movies a week back in 1911. These were some of the earliest cowboy movies made, and audiences back then loved them. We owe the existence of these early cowboy movies to a French film producer in New York City, Gaston Méliès. Since westerns shot in New York weren't very convincing and hard to shoot in winter, Méliès headed south to Texas.
The Star Film Ranch was based south of San Antonio City down along the Mission Trail. The films capture the central Texas landscape so well, the rolling hills of the hill country, the wide open spaces.
Catherine Fuller Seeley is a UT Austin Media Studies professor and has co-written a book about the Star Ranch movies.
It's landscape, it's the delightful cowboys, it's the action, and it's the fabulous performances of the lead cowgirl and lead cowboy that Gaston had hired.
The Star Ranch films created some early movie stars. There was Francis Ford, whose younger brother John Ford became a legendary Hollywood film director, and Edith Story.
She was only 17, New York City born and raised, but quite a tom girl. She's a delightful comedian, also very good in dramatic films, and she's just got an excellent way with the camera, and she's a horsewoman like you wouldn't believe.
Only 4 of the Star Ranch movies have been found. Film historians like Fuller Seeley hope there are more still out there.
It's great fun. It's 110, 115 years ago, but sometimes the films look as fresh as if they were shot yesterday.
An important piece of early movie history from right here in Texas. Bob Buckaloo, KVU News.
From right here. Thanks, Bob. That's all from us in Austin, and we hope you have a great day.
Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. Let's talk about our Texas statewide forecast as we go into this weekend, which, spoiler alert, will be hot for most of us. And then next week, which I think turns a little bit more active. So still for Thursday and Friday, rest of the work week, all good. No major storm chances, nothing too crazy going on. Temperatures are in the process of heating back up, though. So for parts of the state, we have like mid and upper 90s, kind of summer preview type heat in the forecast. But then next week, for the majority of the state as well, especially the eastern half of the state, we're looking at a return to active May weather. But we've got to get through this type of heat first. So, all right, I'll start with Lubbock. Look at that, 95 Thursday, 98 Friday. That is 101 in the forecast for Saturday. DFW Metroplex, low 90s for you guys too. This is several degrees warmer than average for this time of the year. Austin, Central Texas, low 90s, going to continue into the weekend. Del Rio, low to mid 90s. And then as you go to Corpus and Houston, the numbers upper 80s, low 90s. Of course, the humidity will make up for the difference there with the slightly cooler air temperatures. So the reason we've been heating up, we've got this ridge of high pressure, and this is still the influence over our weather today. What happens, though, as we start to get into the weekend and especially next week, that breaks down some. This big trough of low pressure develops out west, so we have this dip in the jet stream, and that eventually is going to set us up for this more active weather pattern here in Texas, which will contribute to basically daily rain and storm chances for many parts of the state through at least the first half of next week and probably beyond that. Here's Saturday in the morning, though. We go into the afternoon, all good, so weekend plans good to go for Saturday. We'll go into Sunday, and there will be a chance for some pop-up showers and storms across parts of the Metroplex Sunday, late day into the evening. Not going to be a washout of a weekend there, but some storms are possible late day. This is going to be the better rain and storm potential, though, starting up on Monday over parts of, say, South Central Texas, San Antonio, into the Texas Hill Country, up the I-35 corridor, Austin to Temple and Waco. Then as we keep going into Tuesday, scattered showers and storms continue to be pretty numerous Tuesday night into Wednesday. I think you get the idea. Now, as we get closer, we'll be able to fine-tune the exact placement and timing a little bit better. But all of this to say, my confidence is pretty high that as we go to next week, it's a much more active rainfall pattern. Here are the rainfall totals just off one model, so not an official forecast just yet, but just to show you the signals here, where there's potential for many parts of the state to have 1 to 3 inches of rain once we get this pattern change heading into next week. And even beyond that, May 19th through the 23rd, this is our 6 to 10 day precip outlook, and it is favoring above average precipitation continuing. So May here in Texas for the vast majority of the state is the wettest month of the entire year. And if we could go above average with rainfall in May, that could really help some parts of our state that continue to deal with drought, especially over central and south central Texas. Here's the plan over the next 3 days. We'll start in West Texas. Look at that, Lubbock and Midland. I'm sorry, I've got triple digits in the forecast for you guys on Saturday. North Texas, low to mid-90s for the DFW area, Weatherford, Denton as we go through Friday and Saturday. Again, Saturday, there's going to be a small chance for rain as we get into the late day, but mainly we're looking at Sunday and beyond. Central Texas, Austin, low 90s in the forecast. East Texas, Houston, Belmont, Tyler, we're looking at temperatures that will be mainly in the mid to upper 80s, but feeling warmer when you factor in the humidity. South Central Texas, we're looking at San Antonio, Corpus, Laredo, temperatures mainly in the upper 80s to low 90s, no major rain chance prior to Saturday, and likewise we're looking at 90s across the valley. We'll keep you updated. Y'all have a good night.
Let's take a look at today's headlines across Houston. Hello, I'm Len Cannon. An 87-year-old woman who's been living with mice infestation finally getting some help. We first told you about her infested home last week. After that story aired, an exterminator stepped up and stepped in to get rid of the rodents free of charge. He tells our Michelle Choi what he found was much worse than expected.
Yeah, guys, Miss Janice says since we stopped by last week, the amount of mice they've caught has jumped to 70. Meanwhile, the exterminator who's helping her says inside her apartment, what he found points to a much bigger problem. Days after KHO11 first shared Janice Crow's plea,
I need help. Desperate.
Support from the community poured in.
They've been bringing me food, encouragement, phone calls,
including one local exterminator who says he couldn't ignore Miss Janice's dire situation.
How grateful are you for his services?
He was a godsend. I kid you not. I even lost tears over that. It was like, oh boy, I've been saved by somebody who really cares.
The exterminator asked to remain anonymous but agreed to speak to us by phone.
What stood out most to you about the severity of the infestation?
Basically all the droppings everywhere throughout the place, in her stove, in her dishwasher.
Last week, while we interviewed Miss Janice, we could hear mice moving around. Today, we found another dead mouse under her dishwasher. The exterminator sealed several entry points but says mice had eaten through insulation inside appliances and nested throughout the apartment.
The amount that she has in her unit is pretty high.
He says properly sanitizing the apartment will take even more work, totaling more than $2,000 in services he's donating for free.
These things carry so much diseases, you know, so I'm going to throw that in as well for her. I'm gonna bring a team, do a sanitation for her, you know, get her as comfortable as possible and, you know, reclaim her place again.
Ms. Janice says management's response so far has been limited to sticky traps, poison, and spraying.
I was very discouraged because I wasn't getting help from management like I thought they should do.
We circled back with apartment management about the exterminator's findings. The property manager declined to provide a statement, but told KHO11 they've continued inspecting and treating Miss Janice's apartment and say neighbors directly next door and below her have not reported mice issues. Management also says staff has repeatedly encouraged Miss Janice to continue cleaning the apartment as treatment efforts continue. But the exterminator worries the issue could spread beyond just one unit.
Once you secure her unit, this traffic is going elsewhere. It's a gamble on where they decide to go.
For now, after months of fear and sleepless nights, Ms. Janice says she's finally starting to feel hope again.
I love him. He has helped me sleep.
A renter's right expert I talked to tells me residents like Miss Janice should first document concerns in writing and send those complaints to apartment management via certified mail. He also says tenants dealing with health or mobility challenges can request reasonable accommodations, and if they're denied, that could potentially violate federal protections under the Fair Housing Act. All steps Miss Janice says she will be taking. Back to you.
Texans there taking care of Texans. Demolition is underway at a downtown Houston garage. It is part of the massive GRB Convention Center expansion, a project tied to Houston's long-term plans. Troy Kless with this story.
The Avenida South garage had served its purpose.
Well, it was required because of where the building will sit that was a great garage for many, many years. I think it opened in more than 20 years ago.
Houston First CEO Michael Heckman says it's making way for a new garage nearby that will open in 4 months, part of a GRB expansion with the framework in place for what will be the GRB South building.
And so that is phase one of what is really a multi-phased master plan and transformation of the convention district.
A transformation that City Councilman Joaquin Martinez says won't be disruptive to the planned conventions or surrounding community getting ready for the World Cup.
The space that we're speaking of, again, is about a 4-block radius that will continue construction, shouldn't hinder anything coming east of downtown where the Fan Fest will be.
The South Garage demolition will take several weeks, but visitors to area hotels and the GRB have additional parking options in nearby garages and surface lots, while Houston First communicates about the ongoing construction.
What streets may be closed, what the detours, what the routes are, and give people good information while still working expeditiously. I can tell you that we are on time with all of our project milestones.
City leaders say that the GRB expansion is on track to finish by 2028. In downtown, Troy Kless, KHOU 11 News.
The first World Cup match in Houston is just a few weeks away, but Harris County communities will benefit long after the final match. That's because nearly 24 new soccer fields are expected to be built, some in low-income areas. The goal to get more kids playing the popular sport. Katira Winfrey went to one of those new fields.
Soccer may be the world's game, but it's becoming a huge focus in and around Houston, especially in lower income areas.
It's not a lot of resources out here for the kids because, it's like a lot of bad things happening, stuff like that in neighborhoods like this, so I feel like y'all giving the kids access to do something
When Christopher Parada and Jose Pena were kids, fields like this were hard to come by, so they made do finding random fields or apartment courtyards to play.
Back then it was dry. None of this was here.
Oh, so you remember when these fields weren't even here?
Yeah, it was just dirt and everything. I used to play in here too.
Now, plans to build fields at 23 locations across Harris County are already in motion. This mini pitch near the FIFA Fan Fest is set to bring the excitement to the city.
We're referring to it as Futbolito, and this is an effort to help bring more of the feeling and the essence and the reach of the World Cup.
And these other new fields in Gulfton, which has a large immigrant population, is an opportunity to build community.
As we prepare for the World Cup, and we think about the legacy that we are going to leave behind for our community, I am proud to have this field.
A luxury many underserved communities haven't had.
Soccer is an incredible sport, but there was a time that it wasn't necessarily affordable to all communities.
Parada and Pena are hopeful the fields will give youngsters access to something better. And won't that be a fine goal?
Katira Winfrey reporting there. A Montgomery County summer camp now being recognized for its role in help fighting segregation in Texas. Camp Robinwood received a historical marker from the Texas Historical Commission, celebrating a place that has impacted generations of Black Girl Scouts. It is located off Calvary Road up in Willis. Tracy Bragg with the story.
Amongst the nature and beauty that lives in North Montgomery County stands our state's most recent historical marker, signifying the impact of a very special camp.
And a commitment to opportunity for all girls.
Camp Robinwood.
This camp was opened in the 1940s. In the days of segregation, African American girls didn't have a place to camp, and so 4 amazing men got together and raised the funds to purchase this property. It was 200 acres of farmland.
Those 4 brave men, Clarence Dupree, James Hudson Jameson, Carter Walker Wesley, and Hobart T. Taylor Sr., donated the space to the Girl Scouts for all girls to thrive, regardless of race, creed, or religion. Before Camp Robin Hood, the nearest integrated summer camp was in Oklahoma.
It was really the first time that camps were integrated, even before schools were integrated. So it was a beautiful story and a beautiful, rich part of our history.
Over the years, upgrades have been made, like a swimming pool and new cabins. But for the thousands of Girl Scouts who still camp these grounds each year, the spirit of inclusion remains the same.
And I think it's really neat that our camp finally got a historical marker.
Tracy Bragg reporting there. Camp Robin Hood also recently received some upgrades to have more climate control facilities so Girl Scouts can camp all year round. That is a wrap of your Houston headlines. I'm Len Cannon.
I'm Isis Romero, and this is the news in San Antonio. The sheriff's office needs your help finding a thief slowing down reconstruction in Kerr County. Earl Stoudemire spoke with the county commissioner to learn what was taken and the negative impact it's having on homeowners.
Kerr County Commissioner Rich Paces says someone stole a control panel off of the only chip spreader machine in the county. This machine spreads gravel evenly across the road before it's sealed, making roads easy to drive on. So this is creating a nightmare for drivers in the area and taxpayers having to make up the cost. It happened at the intersection of Elm Pass and Sanders Road where work was underway, and this is how Elm Pass looks right now. Paces says parts of Elm Pass were damaged in last year's floods, and drivers living along this stretch constantly face the risk of car issues, having to avoid hazards on the washed out roads. Other areas that are now delayed include Boxwood, Booster, and Tallwood north of Highway 27. The commissioner says the $6,000 piece of equipment being stolen slows the county down as they continue to rebuild.
It's really unfortunate and tragic that someone would do this to the county, and they probably don't realize what a ripple effect and how big of an impact it really is on so many people, because this has delayed all of our resurfacing chip seal program. So, we hope we can catch up and complete things that were in the plan this year, but hard to say.
Commissioner Paces says the donor is letting the county borrow another chip spreader to not fall behind on redevelopment, but wants accountability from the person who stole from the county. If you know anything about this, you can call the Kerr County Sheriff's Office or Kerr County Crime Stoppers. If you have any information leading to an arrest, you can receive a reward. Earl Stoudemire, KENS 5.
Spurs fans took over the streets after Game 5, but as the celebration stretched into the night, they also left behind traffic headaches, trash, and cleanup concerns. KENS 5 reporter Simone Simpson has the city's response.
It was an explosive night for Spurs on the court and on the streets.
I was actually about to pass up a firework while recording, and thankfully it shot up.
Spurs fan Israel Camacho captured several videos Tuesday night.
I'm all for driving and honking and fireworks, but not to where it's like this.
Meanwhile, at city-based cinemas, Israel is a co-host there for watch parties. Tuesday's win gave fans a reason to celebrate.
It's just outstanding and amazing. We have the amazing privilege to do it, and we plan on continuing to do it on Friday when we eliminate the Wolves.
After a night of celebration, here's what's left along Southwest Military Drive. There's trails of debris left behind on Southwest Military Drive. Take a look right here at this heap left behind on Commercial Avenue. Public Works responded saying they will be assisting TxDOT dispatching a crew Wednesday and sweeping the area near Commercial Avenue, and also encouraged fans to avoid littering. Following Tuesday night's celebration, SAPD says the only arrest was for DWI. Reporting from the South Side, I'm Simone Simpson.
Last June 12th, Beidle Creek overflowed near Loop 410, sweeping 11 people from the access road. Now, after months of waiting, neighbors who drive past the damaged channel are finally seeing heavy equipment move in. Sue Kalberg has an update from the Northeast side.
Some of the folks who've been dealing with barriers for the past 11 months say they've been hoping for more action faster.
I drive by here every day, and it is very sad to me to know that nothing has been done here.
Gail Hall says for 30 years, she and her neighbors have watched other projects come first.
I see them putting new sidewalks in different neighborhoods, but we can't even get to our neighborhood when it rains.
Hall says when it rains, they're still calling each other on the phone to warn everyone of danger. The Public Works Department says this project will seal damaged or missing concrete wall panels as a temporary fix, while long-term repairs are designed and constructed. $8 million has been budgeted to the project, which they say is in the design phase now, with plans to begin construction early next year.
That is way too long. We have done way past our due time for this to be fixed.
Channel repair is one thing, Vicar Drive is another, and they say at this time there's no plan to reopen this thoroughfare. In Northeast San Antonio, Sue Kalberg, KENS 5.
The city of Boerne is responding to a new Bravo reality series set in the city called Secrets, Lies, and Texas Wives. At the end of Tuesday night's city council meeting, city manager Ben Thatcher said the city learned about the project when the network announced it publicly this week. Thatcher said Boerne is not partnering with the production, and so far the city has not received any filming permit applications or approved any street closures connected to the show. City leaders say they understand most of the filming will happen at private homes, though some scenes could take place at restaurants or other public spaces.
Boerne remains open to responsible film, media, and creative projects that are respectful of all residents, businesses, neighborhoods, and public spaces. At the same time, the city does not control how our private television network markets or edits a program. What we do control is how we protect the public interest and how we continue to tell the true story of Boerne.
Boerne is officially designated as a Texas film-friendly community through the State Film Commission. No word yet on when filming is set to start. And that's the news in San Antonio.
Hi, I'm Leslie Adamy in Corpus Christi, and here's a look at some of what's happening here in South Texas. More questions are being raised about a proposed data center coming to Nueces County. This comes as a recent study found 65% of Americans oppose the building of data centers near their communities. It's a story our Josh Maxwell has been following.
I would like to know when the city found out about the proposed data center in Nueces County.
One of many pointed questions asked at Monday's water community session. As the coastal bend continues to face a water crisis, residents are wanting to know more about any new development, including data centers.
Please don't tell me it will not need local water and we'll get water from some mysterious source.
We were pretty surprised, I'll tell you, at that meeting.
Corpus Christi City Manager Peter Zanoni says they were caught off guard by the announcement themselves, but says the facility would only need limited water from the city.
Bringing water in from some of the location, and they have like a closed loop system. Their design consultant has talked to the city because they do need to buy water from us just for their restroom facilities.
3 News did reach out to Hut 8, the lead on the AI computing project, who sent us a statement in part that says total daily consumption for each phase of the project is estimated at approximately 10,000 gallons per day, comparable to the daily water use of a small commercial facility such as a restaurant. End quote. Corpus Christi District 4 Councilwoman Kaylin Paxson says even if they did need more water to operate down the line, new restrictions in the drought contingency plan are in place.
If this drought continues and they come to us for that water and it is above a commercial amount, which is what they're telling us right now, if it is above that, CCW can say, I can't issue that water right now.
Residents say that during this time, the only thing more important than securing water is staying unified.
Do not tell me it's a county matter. The county and the city have to cooperate on our crisis.
Our Josh Maxwell reporting there. And we are following also a growing dispute between one of the Coastal Bend's fastest growing sports, pickleball, and the game it often shares the court with, tennis. Players of each sport are now fighting for space. Ryan Hopper has a story from both sides of the net.
In racket sports, tennis has long been the world #1, but now pickleball paddles flying off the shelves.
We see 90% of the players that come in are here for pickleball. The other 10% are there for tennis.
Jen and Billy Ryan coach at the Al Cruz Tennis Center, where the local battle lines and pickleball lines have been drawn.
We have 10 courts at Al Cruz that are dedicated to pickleball. We currently have 4 dedicated courts coming here to Commodore's Park,
which they say isn't enough to meet demand.
Every day people get turned away because there's not enough reservation spots, there's not enough court space for all the people that want to come out and play. And that's what the public parks are for, is to provide space for the community to come have fun and get some exercise in.
Meanwhile, the tennis community says it needs the center's middle courts for match and league play.
That's going to really destroy the footprint of Al Cruz. You need 6 tennis courts to run an effective tennis program.
The 83-year-old Woods says he's played tennis in his hometown of Corpus Christi for over 7 decades, and that Al Cruz is one of the sport's only public options.
There's a need for pickleball. I love to see people getting off the couch, getting out and playing tennis and pickleball. That's what it's all about. But you don't go, basically, in my estimation, destroy a perfectly fine tennis center where you can be running tennis and pickleball programs for the community. It just doesn't make sense to me.
In a statement to 3 News, the city says it's still weighing public feedback and has not made a final decision on whether to convert the courts, leaving this match between the two sports currently a draw. Ryan Hopper, 3 News.
Hey, at least they're getting out and getting active. They are all winners in my eyes in that regard. Hey, that's a quick look at some of what's happening here in South Texas.
I'm Adrian Carbajal. Here are your headlines from Central Texas. A Central Texas family is suing TxDOT after their 18-year-old daughter died in a crash on Highway 36. They say the state knew that stretch of road had a history of crashes and did nothing about it. 6 News reporter Juliana Jackson shows us the area at the center of the case and hears from the lawyer representing the family.
Cars drive this stretch of Highway 36 every day. According to a lawsuit filed in Bell County, this curve has also become the site of repeated crashes. The family of 18-year-old Romy Balmer filed the suit after she died driving on 36 in September of 2025.
This was a young girl on her way to college. And by all accounts, she was, everything you would want a daughter to be.
Attorneys say data from her phone showed she was driving about 60 to 62 miles per hour, well below the posted speed limit of 75 miles per hour. The family is now suing TxDOT under the Texas Tort Claims Act, claiming the agency failed to maintain the roadway, failed to warn drivers, and failed to address what they call a known dangerous section of the highway.
The community was very, very well aware of these dangers, which means TxDOT should have been aware of these dangers.
6 News looked into this stretch of the highway last September and found there were 74 crashes since 2015. In 2025, 14 crashes alone were on wet road conditions.
Today's road conditions along Highway 36 are dry, but last year when 18-year-old Romy was driving, it was wet and she lost control of her vehicle and veered into the other lane.
TxDOT tells 6 News they don't comment on pending litigation. This case seeks more than $1 million in damages, but the family's attorney says the bigger goal is change.
Are we as a public, are we as Texans willing to just put up with stuff like this? And I think the answer is no.
In other news, a Central Texas animal shelter is closing its doors and animal advocates are sounding the alarm. We know the Killeen Animal Center had to shut down because of a mold problem, but 6 News reporter Cindy Walker has more details for us tonight, including what this could mean for animals in the area.
Growing mold has closed the Killeen Animal Adoption Facility on Rancier.
It has mold. It's shut down. It's completely closed.
Anka Nyagu.
This is where bacteria accumulates.
Said she advocated against the city purchasing the building to use as a shelter years ago.
This is not adequate to be used as a shelter.
The city told 6 News that the building was cleaned daily, but, quote, the building was not designed to withstand this type of deep cleaning. Limited drainage, not enough water-resistant surfaces, and high water usage.
A lot of water, when it penetrates in the walls and floors, it causes mold over time.
Closed only 2 years after the opening.
They spent, what, $1.7 million on a building that lasts 2 years? That's not a good purchase.
Nyagu wants to see a shift in leadership.
Hopefully we'll get better leaders, better people that run the shelter.
Animal advocates say that the stakes are high. They fear that without the shelter space, euthanasia rates will only grow. Is this going to lead to more euthanization?
Yes.
The city said an air quality test in March came back safe, but out of caution, animals, quote, were rehomed and transferred to other facilities, and staff was moved as well.
Space there's not enough space.
Former animal control officer Kayla Colvin said staff was informed in March.
There was mold that had been found. They would be shutting down the center.
The city says it's planning a full remodel, but in the meantime, Colvin and Niagu share the same concern.
I mean, what can they do? They have to euthanize.
In Killeen, Sydney Walker, 6 News.
The city of Killeen has not yet said when the shelter will reopen. And those are your headlines from Central Texas.
Hi, I'm Brennan Gurley, and here's what's making headlines across East Texas. The classroom of the future may not have 4 walls. A local high school in Tyler is offering students a chance to learn virtually while still having a traditional high school experience. CBS 19's Renee Estrada shows us how Cumberland Academy High School is redefining what education can look like for some East Texas students.
For some Cumberland Academy High School students, the school day will no longer start with a bell, but with a login. And that's because the district is launching Cumberland Connect, the first virtual and hybrid high school program of its kind in Smith County.
What we want to do is meet students where they are. There's so many high school students that want to do different things. So we want to continue to provide that flexible learning option where students can learn at their own pace, learn based upon their lifestyle.
This fall, students can choose between a fully online education or a hybrid model that blends virtual coursework with in-person classes. But school leaders say students won't miss out on the traditional high school experience.
Whether you want to be in athletics, we provide the athletics. Whether you want to continue to participate in fine arts, we have that. With the academics, with our AP classes, our dual credit classes, honor classes, and just all classes that we do provide.
For one junior, that flexibility is what made the program stand out to her.
I think it allows me to be in school and see my friends and participate in all the high school activities while still being at home, working on my dual credit classes.
As more students look for flexibility in education, Cumberland leaders say this program could be a glimpse into the future of learning.
Hybrid and virtual is the next thing. It is the thing. We have so many students that are being homeschooled or just doing online school. But the difference for us is you still get to be a student that gets to participate in all the social life of our campus.
And as education continues to evolve, Cumberland Academy leaders say this program gives families more flexibility while keeping students connected to their education. In Tyler, Renee Estrada, CBS 19.
A new piece of public art is turning heads along a busy city corner of Tyler. CBS 19's Robert De La Garza spoke with the artist behind the new Selena mural and the impact they hope it leaves on the community.
In the heart of Tyler, a mural stands honoring the iconic singer, Selena Quintanilla, an artist who stole the hearts of many.
Trying to make her proud, like the queen of Tejano, so.
But for the artist behind the city's newest mural, Gemini Garza and Oscar Solis, it's more than just strokes of paint.
As iconic as Selena is in the influence she had over everybody as a kid, especially in the Latino community, I feel it's important, especially for the youth, to see that, because we all grew up on her.
But a symbol for generations of Latinos.
I feel no matter how old you are, no matter what point in life you are, you can resonate with that.
And a connection that's still felt to this day.
We're in 2026 and everybody's still listening to her, so, if that doesn't tell you something, I don't know what does, So.
The massive mural took the 2 hours of work in the Texas heat and endless cans of paint.
Make her look good, especially like Selena, it's like we knew we had to do the best we could.
You're painting someone so iconic, so you can't be off in the slightest bit because people are gonna be like, nah, that's not her. You want to do the piece justice.
From people pulling over to take pictures to drivers yelling out Selena songs as they pass.
For us being able to paint all these walls and just get the love back from the community it's amazing, man.
Something they say has been overwhelming.
You kind of feel like you got superpowers, because you can paint something and either provoke thought or change consciousness in a sense, or just have someone feel a type of emotion, and that's a very powerful thing.
A piece that may have just taken days to complete.
What it's gonna do for someone that sees it's gonna live with them forever, So
But just like her music, it can leave an impact. that's timeless. For CBS 19, I'm Robert De La Garza.
And that's a wrap of your East Texas headlines. I'm Brennan Gurley.
Here's your headlines from Southeast Texas. I'm Mark Armstrong. A Beaumont mother is leading the push to bring back youth curfews in Beaumont. She says recent teen crime has left many parents concerned about safety in the community. 12 News reporter Daniela Taboada-Palau, she spoke to her and city leaders.
We want our kids to live.
For many Beaumont parents, it's a simple hope, keeping their children safe and alive.
We want to get them on the right path.
Beaumont mother Kelly Jolly is leading that effort. Now, on her second day, collecting signatures to bring youth curfews back to the city of Beaumont.
We're trying to get a curfew pass that we can use as a tool to help aid our officers and our city officials, as well as help keeping the citizens safe and the children safe.
Jolly has already collected more than 40 signatures, but for now, even if she collected more, there's still nothing the city can legally do.
In 2023, the state legislature passed House Bill 1819, which went into effect September 1st of 2023, which no longer allows cities to have curfews on youth. So it is not something that we can do at this point.
Reversing the youth curfew was included on the city's legislative agenda for 2025 and 2026. Looking ahead to the next Texas legislative session in 2027, Mayor Roy West says it's unclear whether it will remain a top priority for City Council. He's still encouraging residents who support bring back curfews to make their voices heard.
You would need to work with your state elected officials, with your state reps and your state senators.
A recommendation Jolly is taking into consideration.
I'm hoping that Kristen Manuel and Governor Abbott and all of them see that this is what the people want.
And 12 News reached out to State Representative Christian Manuel, who says that he's been made aware of the petition. He says he'd support the effort if it returns to the legislature next session. Well, in Nederland, police say that they are seeing an increase in e-bike accidents and traffic violations involving kids and teenagers. The most recent incident left a young girl seriously hurt back in April. Police Chief Rod Carroll says that it's not a matter of if a tragedy is going to happen, but when, as reckless e-bike riding continues to raise safety concerns. 12 News reporter Cameron Burchett has more.
Clay Drednick, Nederland Police Chief Rod Carroll says with the current rate of e-bike incidents across the city, he believes they are one traffic accident away from a tragedy.
We haven't had a fatality here in the city. It's the if is there. It's the when. When is it going to happen?
Officers say reckless riding, traffic violations, and crashes have become a common occurrence when it comes to e-bikes. Chief Carroll says the department has seen an increase in calls involving young drivers.
Running stop signs, popping wheelies down major thoroughfares, weaving in and out of traffic. With the high speed abilities of these bicycles, they've created some dangerous concerns for us.
He shared 2 incidents that the department has worked in the past few weeks.
We've had one auto pedestrian with an e-bicycle where a young girl was seriously injured. We've also had one where a e-bike struck a parked vehicle, causing over $10,000 worth of damage to the vehicle.
Officer Grayson Finette is a patrol officer with Nederland PD. He was there at the scene after a young girl was hit by an e-bike in April.
I did see she had visible road rash type injuries. She was riding an electric scooter right way on the roadway. From what I understand, she was following all the road laws and everything, and she was struck by an electric dirt bike.
Finette says the teen involved was already known to officers for similar violations.
He's been stopped for running stop signs, high rate of speed. We deal with him a lot.
However, a citation can't immediately be issued when a violation is called in by a resident.
We actually have to observe the misdemeanor. We're not able to just give citations on word of mouth.
Chief Carroll says the danger is still there for uneducated drivers who use the e-bikes.
The reality is we are only one traffic accident away from a tragedy in our community.
Chief Carroll says the best things parents can do to help is to teach their kids the rules of the road before giving them an e-bike. In studio, Cameron Burchett, 12 News.
And those were the headlines from Southeast Texas.